Welcome to Call to Post, the Off the Bench Podcast Network feature dedicated to thoroughbred racing. Hosting today's show will be Brandon Ferst, and Brandon will be joined by Raider Jim Martinez. Grab some paper, make some notes, enjoy yourselves. Let's talk thoroughbred racing. Riders up.
What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another edition of the original Call to Post. Here on the network, we break down everything in North American thoroughbred racing. With me, as always, is my co-host, Raider Jim Martinez. You can find Mr. Martinez at RaiderJim1090. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Here we are, the second week of Santa Anita, getting their winter session underway. So it's kind of nice. We're not really going to skip a beat as far as this goes. Knock on wood, cross your fingers and your toes and everything else, and hopefully they will have no issues at the track when it comes to COVID.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't want to speak it into fruition, but of all the sporting events going on around the world that are at least on my radar, they're dealing with some sort of issue with COVID, whether it's games that are postponed, canceled, games with skeleton crews or skeleton teams. But as I say it, I'll knock on wood, but as of right now, thoroughbred racing hasn't been hit terribly. Now it's a little different, animal. It's not quite a team game. It is, but it's more, let's be a team behind the scenes. And then we go forward with our jockey and horse. And that's kind of representing us all. But Santa Anita, the Boxing Day for our, pretty much your international audience is that day after Christmas. And it is really for Santa Anita, their beginning. It's kind of the Christmas after for a lot of horse players. It was a great weekend, and we broke it down last week. And I think one of the biggest question marks we had, we knew it was going to be a great card. We knew it was going to be a great weekend at Santa Anita. But the big question was, who is this Flightline and where did he come from? And my goodness, what a performance he put on. Hot Rod Charlie gets nosed out in a fantastic race. A photo that was very, very tight at the end, a really good one. But Raider Jim, what were your thoughts on the first weekend at Santa Anita?
Oh, it didn't disappoint. $1.5 million over 5 races. And if you followed us on Twitter, we didn't do too bad on those 5 feature races. We got you the show horse in race 5. It was only a small field of 4, so they only paid for the win and the place, but we did have the place in that one. Bob and Jackie, a semi-long shot, was the one that actually took the winner's circle in that one. Race 6, we threw the win and the place horses at you. Race 8, the La Brea actually had picked Calypso in that one. So threw that one out there at the last minute, ended up paying $19.60 to win. It was a 8, left the gate at 8, just under 9 to 1. And then 10, we also had the win place in there. Dr. Scheibel just did not show up on that one. It was, got jostled real good in the beginning, got pushed back, and it was coming around, went 4 wide, then 5 wide, and just was out of the race completely. Was not a factor in that one. But Flightline, holy cow. But again, race 10, we gave you the Flightline winner. We gave you Baby Yoda at 16 to 1 was the place horse, and had that one out there on our ticket. And then in the last race, the 11, gave you a place in a show on that one with Nicest and Fluffy Socks. That was a pretty good race itself. But all in all, again, didn't disappoint. It was great to see all the familiar names and faces, the all-star jockey lineup. And tell you what, Baffert's going to be in the winner's circle a lot, it looks like, during the winter session. So we have not seen the last of Mr. Baffert.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, Flightline was kind of one of those horses. Okay, yeah, it cost a lot. Workouts were great. Looked really, really good. But in, optional claiming runs, not a fault to the horse, but to step up to a grade 1 and not only win, but for a horse that I think was averaging almost 14 lengths by victory, I think this one was closer to 20 in a grade 1. Flightline, what could have been. Once again, I don't know where it would have fallen in the Breeders' Cup, whether it would have been, the mile, the sprint. I don't know if the classic would have been, it would have been a contender, no doubt about it, but I don't know if it's people would have wanted to, throw him into that deep of a pool that early. But it was a bit of a, bummer that we didn't get to see this at Breeders' Cup. But for Santa Anita, their first day back, to see a horse like this, like you said, there are the same cast and characters, the big names, stuff like that. It's not too often. December 26th, you see a horse that goes, oh wait, can I take my horse of the year pick back? Because as a small sample, no doubt about it, maybe not against the best competition overall, but I don't know how you can pick Flightline out. And I can't wait to see next year for Flightline, what that entails. Hopefully it's full speed ahead for a horse that, got a late start, not only this year, but I mean, didn't run until midway through its 3-year-old year, which, that's kind of a late start for most thoroughbreds, at least of this caliber, is making up for lost time. This can be a horse that we see at Breeders' Cup next year if everything goes as planned. So a fantastic weekend, and something that I know Santa Anita will continue on throughout this meet that they have going on. And that's what we're transitioning to now. 4 big races, including one that will get you points into the Kentucky Derby. Admittedly, it is only a 10-point race, one of the lower points, but you're going to start somewhere. That's not the first race we're going to be talking about. Instead, we will start first, race number 6. This will be Saturday, January 1st, New Year's Day at Santa Anita. A lot of fantastic sporting events going on. Do not let Santa Anita go under the radar for you. Race number 6 is going to be the Grade 2 Joe Hernandez Stakes on the downhill turf, which, according to the Racing Form, is about 6.5 furlongs. It's a very odd, kind of kooky course. 1, 2, maybe 3 turns, however you want to grade turns, but it's going to be a little interesting here. But Raider Jim, I'm going to let you get us started on the Grade 2 Joe Hernandez Stakes. That is a purse of $250,000 for 4-year-olds and up on the turf.
Yeah, just by random chance, my favorite in this one is the 5-horse Commander, going to be ridden. It is the Joe Hernandez Stakes, and riding Commander is none other than J.J. Hernandez at 3-1. Likes the distance, has performed well at the distance, has had a couple great workouts of late. Also like the 1-horse Beer Can Man, and can't beat it. Michael Glatt and Flavian Pratt riding in that one at 5-2. Now, the horse that's a bit of, some people might question it, but I like the jockey trainer combination, and that is the 2-horse Brand, the French horse, and that's with Joe Bravo. John Sadler is the trainer on that one. Watch for that one to be in the money, definitely an underneath on that one. And also the 6-horse Momos out of Kentucky. J.R. Velasquez is going to be riding that one currently at 4-1.
This is a very good field.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of a weird track. Once again, if you kind of go on and you look, it's not your normal turf run. I mean, even the downhill obviously tells me that there's a bit of an incline somewhere. Interesting to me, the 2 horses that I'll talk about, actually, you didn't touch on. The first one is out of Great Britain. It is Delaware. My big concern with this horse, first and foremost, is this is a horse that's been, a route turf horse, running at 1 1/8 miles, running at 1 mile, running even 1 16 miles, a lot. The one thing that does jump out to me is going back to July at Saratoga. This horse ran a 101 on the turf. Now, once again, that was at 1 mile and a more conventional turf course at Saratoga. Excuse me. And then you also had, when all that was going on, Chad Brown was the trainer. This will be the first run for Peter Gallagher as the full trainer. You do have Mike Smith aboard at 6-1. It's definitely worth a look for you. Once again, the distance, though, and the kind of quirkiness of the track gives me a bit of pause. The other horse I'm looking at, though, is Commander. Now, doesn't have the same speed number, but has been at this turf, at this length, a lot more than the 4-horse Delaware. Also, like the fact that this horse has ran 10 times on the Santa Anita turf and has been in the money 7 of those 10 times. Only 2 wins, I understand that. However, with a course like this, I think familiarity kind of breeds that. This is the only Beer Can Man is the only other horse to have ran on the turf, and maybe not even the downhill turf. I didn't dive into it that much. So Commander for me has a real good opportunity here to do something. And then the 3 horse as well is Chewing Gum. Now, Arrest Me Red and Pulsate are not in this race. That's great news for Chewing Gum. The last 2 times Chewing Gum's ran in a grade 3 and an ungraded stakes race, it's fallen short to both Arrest Me Red and Pulsate. Obviously not here now. I will say it peaked, or looked like it peaked back in June at Belmont at the Hyper. Finished second as a 28-1 shot, ran in 99, and then came back a couple months later, ran in the grade 3 turf sprint, ran well, finished 8th, but still had a 94 and then a 95. However, last time out ran only an 88. So we'll need to get up into the mid to high 90s to be a factor here. But at 5-1, I think there's plenty of value there. And I mean, we just pretty much put an umbrella on this entire field. So I think that kind of tells you how good this field is. Every one of these horses has a really legitimate shot to get this win. Once again, though, I do think it's a big possibility that, you know, this turf course, and I understand they have workouts and you know, they're getting familiarized with it, but it's a very kind of weird start to things. So, but you do have a lot of veteran horses overall, a lot of 4+ year olds here in this one. So moving on to race number 7, which will be the Sham Stakes. It will also be for 10 Kentucky Derby points for the winner. And this purse will be $100,000 going 1 mile for 3-year-olds on the dirt. Raider Jim, what do you got for the Sham Stakes, the grade 3?
I'll tell you what, as good as the field was in race 6, this field is fantastic. Small field, 5 horses. And as I go down the list, 3 of them I have bet on over the past year. I'm pretty sure of it. McKinnon Oviatt Class is the 2nd horse. Newgrange is 3, Rockefeller is 4, and Degree of Risk is going to be your 5 horse. I really like McKinnon in this race. That's Juan Hernandez in the saddle, trained by Doug O'Neill, currently at 3-1. McKinnon is the one that has the 4 starts at the distance and also has the fastest speed at the distance. Good horse, obviously a great jockey trainer combination. So I do like 1 McKinnon. I also like the chance that the DeSormo brothers have with the 2 horse Oviatt Class. Kent and his brother are back at it again. There's a great documentary out. It's actually a docu-series called, I think it's 7 Days, where they take an event and they spend 1 week following a group or an individual on the course of the week and what it takes leading up to an event. One of those was the DeSormo brothers leading into the Kentucky Derby. You can still find that, I believe, on Netflix. So give that a look. It's really interesting to see the different approaches that the trainer brother and the jockey brother take to the Kentucky Derby. Bob Baffert has the 3 and the 4 horse, and those are currently the favorites right now. Newgrange out of Kentucky is at 2-1. Rockefeller is at 8-5. Rockefeller is the favorite, but Rockefeller, I don't know that doesn't have the experience at the distance, and the speed is there. But again, when you look at on paper side by side, McKinnon's got the nod on that one. So I like 1 McKinnon, 2 Oviatt Class, definitely Rockefeller's in there. You can probably go ahead and throw Newgrange underneath, which is the 3 horse. Degree of Risk, I think, will be there, but is not going to be a threat to anybody else in the field.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a 4 horse race, with all due respect to Degree of Risk. Interesting here to point out, we have 5 horses running, only 3 of which are eligible to pick up Kentucky Derby points. As Raider Jim brought up, 2 of them are Bob Baffert horses. Papa Cap at the moment right now is the leader in the Kentucky Derby points, but that is only because Corniche is ineligible. And I read an article today that the ownership group of Corniche has absolutely no plans to change trainers at any point. So unless that changes in the TikTok, it better be coming here in the next week, month or 2. We won't see Corniche. We won't see any of these Bob Baffert horses. That's something we got to keep an eye on. But in terms of this race, I don't think it will matter. I mean, the horses don't understand her. I mean, they know what's going on, but they don't know, oh, never mind, I'm ineligible anyway, I'll kind of take this as a victory lap, or things like that. I agree with you with McKinnon. I think this horse is the class of the field, and considering it is the third favorite, if you will, right now, I'm a big fan of that. I will say the one worry I guess I do have is the turf. Moving on to the dirt. It's been on turf.
Right.
That's great. Now moving on to dirt. I'd like to have maybe seen a bit of a warm up before that, but at the same time, Doug O'Neill might be thinking of this as a warm up. Obviously, we have a long way to go before we get to the Derby. I mean, even if you win this race and you get all 10 points, you are going to need at least another 35, 40 points to get into the Derby and feel okay. So this isn't the top Derby prep that you're going to see, but you're definitely going to see some really good horses, especially that 3-horse Newgrange. Biggest question mark though I have, only one start. We saw with Flightline last week, maybe not necessarily body of work is the biggest deal, but for Newgrange, I'd like to see others. I mean, we see some horses here, even Rockefeller. It's hard to kind of get away from a horse that's only lost to Corniche. And even when it did lose by 7 lengths, but plenty of horses have done that. Newgrange for me, definitely keeping an eye there. Oviatt Class is another horse. I actually put, I think, a place show bet on in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Didn't go quite as planned, but that was all Corniche all day. But we'll see if Oviatt Class can kind of rebound here in its 3-year-old season. Had a good 2020 and its 2021 and its 2-year-old campaign. So it's going to be interesting, but I really do like McKinnon here kind of at the top of this. And I think you're going to have value, especially at 3-1. And I think the Baffert horses are probably going to get some love on betting day. And
if you do take a look at the pedigree when you're looking at the horses like I do, you can't go wrong with McKinnon, because McKinnon sends his Father's Day card to American Pharaoh. So you're not doing wrong there. And then Oviatt Class too, Bernardini. Yeah, I mean, it is really, really quite an impressive field when you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, even Newgrange and Rockefeller. Newgrange is a grandson of Magadalia de Oro, and then you have Rockefeller, whose father was Magadalia de Oro. So you also have Violence in that pedigree for Newgrange. As you said, Bernardini. You're seeing a lot of fantastic, especially American Pharaoh. I feel like those horses are starting to, those 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds are starting to kind of come out. And that horse is definitely doing just as well in the breeding barn as it was on the track. So moving on to the race number 8. This is going to be a 1 1/8 on the turf, the inner turf course, the more conventional turf course, if you will, for 4-year-old fillies and up. The purse is $100,000. It is the Robert J. Frankel Stakes. I'll get this one started. The first horse that jumps out to me, I guess, look, it will be a long shot, so you might need a place show bet, but, Bodacita at 8-1 is worth a look for you. This is a horse that was really good in 2020, won 3 out of 5 races, was in the money in 4 out of 5 races. Last year took a couple steps back, no doubt about it. Didn't get in the winner's circle, didn't even finish second. It only had 2 third-place finishes to show for it. Didn't even get into 6 figures in terms of money made. I go back to the Yellow Ribbon. This was a horse that ran a 94 after it ran a 94 in the Gamely. I think this horse possibly can, maybe get a little bit of a bounce back here, but it's going to need to improve. But at 8-1, I think it is worth a look. Another horse that jumped out to me was England's Rose. Model of consistency. Once again, going to need to step up a little bit. However, when you've been hitting 85s, 85, 84, 88, 88, love the consistency. Let's get into the low mid 90s. I think this horse at 5-1 has some value there. Mucho Unusual, I believe at this moment is the second favorite at 5-2. You got Velasquez aboard, coming off of a win last time out in an optional claiming. My only question mark is here, at this level, this horse has not performed as it's expected to. I mean, we go back, it was a low, I mean, it was 0.4 to 1 in the Santa Ana and finished almost 4 lengths off the lead to going to Vegas. I'm going to need more from a horse that's probably going to get close to even money. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on the Robert J. Frankel Stakes at Santa Anita?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting race. I do like Mucho Unusual. Has great performance at the distance. Has been off a couple months, and maybe the rest is what this horse needed. Has hit the winner's circle 8 out of 22 times. It's winning about $42,000 per start. So I do like the chances of Mucho Unusual. I'm curious on 7, the 7 horse Luck. Currently the leader, morning line leader at 8 to 5. Has done nothing at this distance, hasn't even had that many starts. But again, that's that thing you and I always talk about. Somebody knows something. Somebody knew about Flightline, didn't they? And they knew better than me and you, I guess, because that horse was smoking around the track. But anyway, so Luck is a question mark. I've got to do a little more research on that horse. 2 Mucho Unusual, my top pick. The number 4 horse Miraz at 6 to 1. I like that horse with the in the money chance right there. And then also, as you led off with, Bodacita, the number 1 horse, that horse also, along with Mucho Unusual, has some of the best performance at the distance and the speed. So, yeah, I would definitely look at 2, 1, and 4 underneath.
Yeah, and for 7, Luck, the horse, I agree with you. I mean, it came to North America and has been kind of on the West Coast. And once again, ran in the red carpet, was a heavy favorite, lost out to Ney Blanche, and then also lost out to going to Vegas. The other question I do somewhat have that would actually kind of be a plus, I think, in this horse's direction. I think Flavien Prat is kind of poised to have a big weekend. Unfortunately for Flavien, we have such high expectations now. You know, I kind of see it go, man, he got through the first weekend. He only has a 19% win percentage. Now everyone else, that's well above average. But for comparison, Flavien Prat's career win percentage is 27%. So I think this weekend Flavien Prat does kind of get back into it. I have to imagine he wants to, win, every jockey competition he can in every meet he can. So see if Flavien Prat can come back. I just, like I said, at 8 to 5, I'm with you. I'd like to see more experience at this distance, and maybe more than 1 in 3 wins at North America, or in North America, I should say. So we'll see how it goes for the Robert J. Frankel Stakes. That will be race number 8, of course, on Saturday, New Year's Day. Moving on to the final race we'll be talking about today. It will be race number 9, the Grade 3 La Canada Stakes, or La Canada, but I think it's Canada. But anyway,
it's Canada, yeah.
Yeah. $200,000 purse for 4-year-old fillies and up. We are going a mile and a 16th on the dirt. Raider Jim, what do you got for the Canada Stakes?
Yeah, not a bad field at all. I do like number 6, the current morning line favorite, as time goes by. I mean, the record speaks for itself. Let me get over there to that screen, please. Thank you. And hit that one, hit send. Yeah, it's another Baffert horse, Flavien Prat in the saddle at 8 to 5 right now as time goes by on the outside post, which is good. Flavien does magic when he has the outside like that. He knows how to settle right in and make his move when he has to make his move. The one that I will tell you, I'm going to bet underneath somewhat of a long, not somewhat, you would call it semi-long shot. That's the 2-horse Cowboy's Daughter. Watch that horse at 10 to 1. It has got good speed at this distance. It's got good record in starts. And then I also like the 1-horse Moonlight de Oro. You can't say enough when you've got Mike Smith and Richard Mandela taking care of a horse for you at 3 to 1. And then, of course, Velvet Slippers out of Kentucky. You can't say another Baffert horse, but has a good pedigree, has a good record. You can even look at 5 Park Avenue, but if I was going to narrow it down to 4, I would tell you it's going to be Moonlight de Oro, Cowboy's Daughter, as time goes by, and Velvet Slippers, and that's my 4.
Yeah, I agree with everything, especially the 2-horse Cowboy's Daughter. I actually have my note here, and I said this is best value of the day.
Yes, sir.
This is a horse that's won its last 4 races. I understand its allowances, optional claimings at, let's call them lesser tracks, with all due respect to Golden Gate. But, this is a horse definitely that's been on fire, and maybe the speed numbers aren't there. But I'll tell you what, the 91 last time out will get you in the money here, I believe. I think this is a great value at 10-1, possibly even go up, because right now I look at Cowboy's Daughter and Fifi Pharaoh. They're both 10-1 right now. Well, going into Saturday, more than likely, with all due respect to the betting public, Fifi Pharaoh is going to get more love just because of the sire. All you have to do is tell, average or less, whoever's just kind of there, hey, that is the horse, and everyone's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to bet that horse just because American Pharaoh is the sire there. I really think Cowboy's Daughter's money, the morning line is going to go up, so the value I think is just going to continue. I'm a fan of this. Anything higher than 5 or 6-1, I think you still get plenty of value. And I agree with you with, as time goes by, this is a horse that has been, for better or worse, Bob Baffert has kind of looked at it and said, look, you're going to be running in grade 1 and grade 2s in 2021. It went okay. I mean, it still won just shy of 500,000. But it's running in the distaff. It's running in the Zenyatta, the Clement L. Hirsch, the Santa Maria, losing to horses like the Truska, Private Mission, She Dares the Devil, Marsh Lorraine, Dunbar Road, Malathot. And now coming here, with all due respect to the other horses, it's a big competition drop off. You're going from Breeders' Cup weekend where, you were a 32-1 shot, to now coming to this one where you're going to be the favorite. I like that. I think there's plenty of value. Definitely with that 2-horse and Cowboy's Daughter. As time goes by, morning line 8-5, you might need to look toward the 5-horse Park Avenue to maybe get a little bit of that value in that area, because I do also like that horse. Last 2 times out, this horse has won, and one of those was at this distance on this track. An extra 16th of a mile I will give you, but it's going to be a great race. I'm excited. Like I said, Cowboy's Daughter, for me, when I was handicapping this whole thing, that was my highlighted horse. This is a horse that, for me, if I miss all the others, I'll kick myself later. But this is the one that I, jump off a building for. But I'm just going to kid. But no, that's the horse I want to watch, or I want to bet on. And hopefully it comes in and makes us some money and makes us look pretty darn smart. But Raider Jim, that is all we have for this one. Why don't you give us your final thoughts, as we are about 10 hours away before 2021 has officially been turned over.
Yeah, I hope, it seemed like we had turned the corner. We were getting out of the COVID storm, and now, the second wave of the storm seems to be hitting. I can't emphasize enough to everybody, please be safe, be patient. It's a first world problem if you've got to stay at home with your internet, your cable, your stock refrigerator, and you can't go out and hang out with 200 people that you've never met before and let them slobber all over you on New Year's Eve. So play it smart for everybody else's sake. And again, one of the things that we said on our NFL podcast, that we said on our NCAA basketball podcast, and we have to say it again today, one of our great friends, Officer Jim Betancourt, California Highway Patrol, day in and day out, he and his colleagues are out there doing what they can to keep you and I and everybody else safe. So help them out, be smart. It's amateur night. Don't drink and drive. Just keep it at home.
Amen. Amen. It is not worth you watching a ball drop on TV or taking a couple Jaeger bombs and then thinking you can drive home, because the biggest problem will be, how do I get my car in the morning? So make sure you're smart. However you decided, as I've said numerous times, if you can afford to go out and get blasted at the prices these days, you can afford the Uber home. Stay safe, obviously, behind the wheel, and also, family, friends, all that stuff with COVID. Make sure, you're doing the right thing for everyone around you. But as we look ahead to 2022, obviously, for this podcast, we're going to shift our attention, Santa Anita will still be there, but there are going to be a lot of Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby, prep races, and then obviously we'll break those down to the Triple Crown. And I have a feeling before we know it, it'll be that Breeders' Cup preview race as they're at Keeneland this year. But can't wait. We're going to be with you all next year to break it all down, and can't wait to do it with y'all. But with that, once again, have a happy new year. Be safe, be smart, and we'll talk to you all as the worst dad joke ever. We'll see you next year. But thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the original Call to Post presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It is time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful new year.
Happy New Year.